Hello, and thank you for coming. This is the latest edition of KYC News. The world's most unexplained airplane disappearances are on the agenda for today's discussion. Stay tuned. 10 of the most mysterious aircraft disappearances. On Tuesday, in the county of Clare, Ireland, the unveiling of a brand new radar satellite system took place. This system will, in the event of a crash or other disaster, provide emergency personnel with precise locations of aircraft, no matter where in the world they may be. It is intended that the system, which will be controlled by the Irish Aviation Authority, will put an end to the phenomenon of aircraft vanishing from radar, which can make rescue and recovery attempts more difficult. The following is a list of 10 instances of airplanes that have vanished over time. 1. The disappearance of flight MH370 operated by Malaysia Airlines. One of the most puzzling events to ever occur in the field of aviation is the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which was carrying 239 people. On March 8, 2014, while traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, the airplane was reported missing in flight. The southern Indian Ocean and the seabed were searched for several months by the people trying to find survivors, but eventually the search was called off. 2. The flight number for Air France is 447. All 216 passengers and 12 crew members on board Air France Flight 447, which was traveling from Rio de Janeiro to Paris, perished when the aircraft plunged into the ocean 10 years ago. Jane Deasy, who was from Rathgar in County Dublin, Aisling Butler, who was from Roscrea in County Tipperary, and Ian Walls, who was from Ballygowan in County Down were the 3 Irish medical professionals who were killed as a result of the disaster. When the black box flight data and voice recorders were discovered from the bottom of the ocean, they revealed that the speed recorders on the aircraft had iced over when it was flying during a storm. Until then, the reason of the accident remained a mystery. The search was conducted over the course of nearly 2 years and cost €31 million. 3. Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, began one of the final legs of their around-the-world flight on July 2, 1937, when they took off from La, New Guinea, aboard a Lockheed Electra 10E. This was one of the final legs of their journey. However, the Lockheed Electra vanished somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, and the pioneering aviator was never seen or heard from again. 4. Torpedo bombers belonging to Flight 19. During the height of World War II, the United States Navy sent 5 torpedo bombers on a normal training flight over the Bermuda Triangle. This flight took place over the infamous area known as the Bermuda Triangle. None of the 14 crew members aboard the 5 military aircraft were ever located or heard from again after they vanished without a trace. Several hours later, the Navy dispatched an additional 13 Marines on a search and rescue effort aboard a Marine flying boat. They, too, disappeared without a trace and were never located or heard from again. 5. Flying Tiger Flight 739. The United States Army Flying Tiger Flight 739 disappeared in 1962 over the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean when it was its route from Guam to the Philippines from the Mariana Trench. This event occurred during the early stages of the Vietnam War. There were no calls coming in from people in danger that were received. Nothing was ever discovered, despite the fact that an intensive search party consisting of 1,300 persons, 48 aircraft, and 8 surface vessels searched an area that was approximately 144,000 square miles in size. Flight number 571 of the Uruguayan Air Force. On October 13, 1972, a Uruguayan Air Force plane that was traveling over the Andes with 45 people on board, including members of the Uruguay rugby team, as well as 5 crew members, was never seen again after going missing. After a total of 72 days, when everyone on board was thought to have perished, 16 people were found to have survived. The movie Alive, released in 1993, is based on the true account of how the survivors' hunger pushed them to consume the flesh of some of the deceased passengers. 7. Stardust Crash in 1947. On August 2, 1947, a British South American Airways plane named Stardust was traveling from Buenos Aires to Santiago when it disappeared without a trace. It wasn't until the late 1990s, more than half a century after the crash, that fragments of the aircraft's wreckage started to be discovered in the Andes Mountains. In the year 2000, numerous body parts belonging to passengers on the flight were discovered, all of which had been exceptionally well preserved by the glacial ice. 8. The accident of an aircraft belonging to the Indian Air Force. In July of 2016, an Indian Air Force Antonov An-32 twin-engine turboprop transport aircraft vanished over the Bay of Bengal with 29 passengers on board. The incident occurred while the aircraft was flying. The aircraft had taken off from the Tambaram Air Force Station and was heading in the direction of the Port Blair Air Force Station. The search and rescue mission became India's greatest search operation for a lost plane on the sea in its history. It involved submarines, surface vehicles, and aircraft. The mission was terminated in September because it was unable to locate any evidence of the target. 9. Lady Be Good. On April 4, 1943, members of the United States Army Air Corps flew a B-24D aircraft with the call sign Lady Be Good as part of a bombing attack over Italy. The plane was the only one of the mission's fleet that did not make it back to its home base in Libya. It was presumed by the authorities that the plane had crashed somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea. An exhaustive search was conducted, but there was no trace of either the aircraft or its crew to be found. During the year 1958, an oil survey exploration party was taking overhead photographs in the desert of Libya when they came across the plane. The plane had been destroyed in the accident, but it had been able to survive because to the dry circumstances. In 1960, the skeletal remains of 8 of the crew members were discovered scattered around the desert in a variety of locations. A diary that belonged to the co-pilot, Robert Toner, was among the artifacts that were discovered among the dead. In it, he described how all 9 passengers ejected from the aircraft prior to it crashing, with 8 of them escaping unharmed. The survivors walked a total of 85 miles before 5 of them gave up and carried on, while the other 3 continued walking till they passed away. There was never any trace of gunner Vernon L. Moore's remains ever discovered. It is one of the mysteries that has been around aviation for the longest time. 10. Vancouver Douglas DC4. In 1951, the Douglas DC4 took off from Vancouver, British Columbia, and was scheduled to make a pit break at the Anchorage Airport in Anchorage, Alaska. The visibility dropped to less than 500 feet as the weather became more severe. An urgent warning was given after it was already much too late for anyone to have reported the incident. There has been no success in locating any traces of the missing ship or its occupant. We really hope that you learned the most from this video. If so, please like it and remember to subscribe to this channel for more. Enjoy your time.